Welcome back, Year 7. This is lesson 1 on area. And today we're going to be recapping some of the area work you've seen before, mainly with rectangles, squares, and some compound shapes made from them. Before we get into the work on area, please pause the video to complete this starter. Here are the answers to the starter. Again, just pause the video so you can mark them, and when you're ready to start the main task of the lesson, press play. We're going to start by finding the area of some rectangles and squares where all the sides are given to us. For this, you need to remember that the area of a rectangle is the length multiplied by the width. I'll write that formula at the bottom of the screen now for you. So the area of a rectangle is equal to the length multiplied by the width. And if you weren't sure of that, or you'd forgotten it, you might want to write that formula down and highlight it. That finds you the area of any rectangle. So looking at the first one, we have a length of 7 and a width of 4. So using the formula, we simply multiply those together and that gives us the area. So we have the area would be equal to 7 times by 4, and 7 times 4 is 28. Now, one of the key things about what I want to do today is really focus on the units. So the answer isn't just 28, but 28 centimetres squared. The squared, or the little 2, represents the fact that these shapes are 2D. So they work in 2 dimensions, the length and the width. Moving on to the second shape, we have 11 and 5 as its 2 dimensions. So we would do area equals 11 times by 5, and 11 times 5 is 55. Again, look at your units, it's millimetres in the question, and this is a 2-dimensional answer, it's area, so it's millimetres, but it's millimetres squared because it's area. If we were finding a length, it would just be millimetres. And for the final one, this one looks a bit different because it's only got 1 dimension given to you, but hopefully some of you recognise those black dashes on each of the sides. That means that every side with that dash is the same length. In other words, that shape has 4 equal sides. Hopefully some of you will recognise that as a square. So what that means is the length and the width are both 3. So for that one, we are simply going to do that the area is equal to 3 times 3, and that is 9 centimetres squared. Now remember that though all the sides are 3, we don't times 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. Just like we didn't do 4 times 7 times 4 times 7 or 5 times 11 times 5 times 11. We just use the length once and the width once. So you just use 2 dimensions in your calculation and then you get this answer, which is 2-dimensional. In other words, it has a power of 2. Pause the video if you need a bit more time to copy this down. Otherwise, the video will go on to the first task for you. So this is the first task. There's 6 questions there. I would like you to find the area. Make sure you include your units in the answer for these 6 shapes. Pause the video to have a go. Hopefully you've now had a go at this. I'm very quickly going to go through the answers. So the first one is 3 times 9, which is 27. You should have centimetres squared for that one. The second one would be 5.6 times 10, that's 56, and again it's centimetres squared. For this one, they try to catch you out by labelling all the sides. Remember, the formula is just length times width, so you only need 1 of the lengths and you only need 1 of the widths. So I'm just going to get rid of the extra information on there. 5 times 8 is 40, so it's 40 centimetres squared. Here we have the symbols or the notation to show us that they're of equal length, in other words it's a square, so we do 12 times 12, which is 144. Here we're bringing in a little bit of algebra, but please don't panic, just remember the process is exactly the same, length times width, so 9 times A. 9 times A is 9A, so it's 9A, and our units still would be centimetres squared. And here, 4A times 5B. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, and A times B is AB. Remember in algebra, we don't write the multiplication sign. So it's 20AB, and the units from the question tell us that they're centimetres squared. Make sure you've got all of these correct or you've corrected your answers, and then go on to the next part of the video. We're now going to work in reverse. So these are examples, give you the area and one of the sides, and we need to think about what the missing side would be. For instance, for the first one, we're told the width is 4, but we don't know the length. However, we do know that the area is 40, and we know to find area, we do length times width. So 4 times something is equal to 40. The something must therefore be 10. Now, the way you're going to do this is think about the fact that to find this area, you multiply. We're working backwards here, so we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to take the area and divide by the known side, because area is equal to the two of them being multiplied together. So we'll divide to do it in reverse. And we can take the units of the other side, so centimetres. So just remember that multiplication and division are opposites. So if we want to work backwards, we're going to divide. We're going to do the same on the next one. We'll take the area, which is 66, and we divide, because we're working backwards again, by 11 to give me 6. And the units in this question are millimetres. It's not millimetres squared because we're now working with length, that's 1 dimension. We're not working with area, which was 2. Finally, for the third one, we have a square. Slightly harder here because we haven't got an unknown side, so we can't do the area divided by a side. However, we do know they're all the same sides, so we know that something times by something was equal to 25. And we know that both these numbers have to be the same. This is kind of a special form of division. Some of you will know what that number is. If not, what you are doing is doing the opposite of squaring. Squaring means to times by the same number. And that's what this would be. It would be something squared equals 25. To undo that process, we're going to use this square root. So square root of 25 means what times itself is 25? The answer is 5. So 5 times 5 is 25, or 5 squared is 25. Therefore, the side lengths are 5. Pause the video if you need a bit longer to copy these down. Otherwise, on to the next task. So here is task 2 of the video. Just like my previous examples, I'd like you to find the missing sides for these 6 rectangles. Every time, just think what times the known side would give me the area, or divide the area by the given side. When you've had a go at all 6, unpause the video and have a look at the answers. So, hopefully you've now had a go at this task. I'm now going to fill in the answers. So 3 times 10 is 30, so it's 10 centimetres. 45 divided by 10 is 4.5, so 4.5 is the missing side there. That's because 4.5 times 10 would give me 45. This one is 6. That's because 5 times 6 is 30. Here, you would have been doing the square root of 64. And the answer is 8, because 8 times 8 is 64. Here we have 6. That's because 9 times 6 is 54. And the final one was a little bit tricky. 4a times something is 8a. Well, the a is already there in both, so we don't need to worry about the letters here. But 4 times what is 8? Well, that's 2. So it's 2 centimetres, and that's because 4a times 2 would be 8a. If you had 4a and then another 4a, think about 4 apples and another 4 apples, that makes 8 apples. My final 2 examples for you in this lesson are working with some compound area. That's when 2 shapes have been added together, or 2 or more shapes have been added together to create a new shape with a non-sort of generic name. So here we can see we've actually got a rectangle and then another rectangle cut out of it. And I want to find the shaded area. So what I'm going to do for the first one is take the larger rectangle and find the area of it. So this is going to be the length times by the width, so 11 times by 5. And so the larger rectangle is 55. However, we've got something inside of it that's been cut out that we need to remove. So then I'm going to find the smaller one. And the dimensions for that are 4 by 2, which is 8. So the shaded area for this one is going to be 55, take away the 8 that's being cut out. And 55 take away 8 is 47. And it's an area, so it's millimetres squared because it's 2 dimensions. Moving on to the next one. We are going to do exactly the same. So the larger shape is actually a square because it's got the notation to say they're all the same length. And that is 10 by 10 because all the sides are the same length, and we're told that one is 10, so they're all 10. So that's 100. The rectangle that's being cut out is 5 by 3, so that's 15. And therefore the shaded area is 100 minus 15, which is 85. And the units there are meters, and it's an area, so it's meters squared. I'm going to have to write the units just above because I can't. I'll put it here. 85 meters squared because it's 2 dimensions. Here is your final task. There's just one question to this one, and that's the last bit of the lesson. So your final challenge for today is to find the shaded area of that shape. Remember, find the bigger shape first, find the area of the small one second, and then take it away because it's been removed, it's been cut out. Pause the video to have a go. Hopefully now you've had a go at this question. I'm very quickly going to go through how you would find the answer. So you can check your answer if you had a go, and if you were struggling, you can follow this through now. So the larger rectangle has a length of 11 and a width of 8, giving me 88. The smaller rectangle that's been cut out from the middle is 4 by 3, which is 12. And therefore the shaded area is equal to 88, take away the 12 that was cut out, and that should have given you an answer of 76. And the units, hopefully you've put those in too, it's centimetres and it's 2 dimensions because it's area, so it's centimetres squared. Well done, you've worked really well on that today. Your next lesson, if you're watching this on Monday, is on Tuesday. Remember, it's live on Teams, and I really look forward to having you all participate in that then. Bye.